Welcome to this episode of Q&A with Liturgy Man. I'm Taylor Burton-Edwards, Liturgy Man, your Director of Worship Resources with Discipleship Ministries of United Methodist Church. I am your apportionment dollars at work to help you strengthen worship and the understanding of worship where you are. Today's question is one that shows up a lot in Facebook conversations with clergy and laity from the United Methodist Church. It most often seems to come from people who have not been United Methodist in the past and are seeking to understand more about our theology of worship, our sacramental theology, and so on. And that question is, why don't United Methodists have any ritual in our book of worship for dedicating infants? Why don't we dedicate babies? Well, the simple answer to that question is because we baptize them. We baptize them. We do not dedicate them. What's the difference? What's the distinction here? Well, the distinction really comes about whether we understand ourselves, as United Methodists do, to be a church whose sacramental theology focuses primarily on the activity of God in the sacraments, or whether we understand baptism and communion in particular to be cases in which we are primarily the actors in the sacrament in obedience to what God has done, or simply in response to what God has done. In our theology, which derives from Anglican theology, before that Western Roman Catholic and Orthodox, and goes back to the early church, the understanding is that God is the primary actor in the sacraments, including the sacrament of baptism. We don't need parents to dedicate children or to make that kind of commitment of the child to God, because what's happening in baptism is that God is claiming all of us who come to God in seeking the saving grace of God in Jesus Christ. What parents do in baptism is not dedicate the children. What parents do, and other sponsors, and indeed the whole congregation does in baptism, is to dedicate ourselves anew to live out the baptismal covenant in such a way that those that we bring, that we are going to be sponsoring as the sponsors at baptism, or the parents at baptism, we are pledging ourselves to live out the baptismal covenant with the hope that those we baptize will learn to do so as well. So we don't dedicate infants in the United Methodist Church. And I encourage you to talk about that with your pastor. If you find yourself in a church that seems to think it should be doing that, or you've got a lot of church members who are doing that, talk about it with them. Contact me. I'll be glad to talk with you about that at further length. But we're very clear. Our focus is baptism. Indeed, we state that explicitly in the Book of Discipline, paragraph 226. Because the redeeming love of God, revealed in Jesus Christ, extends to all persons, and because Jesus explicitly included children in his kingdom, the pastor of each charge shall, the shall here, folks, earnestly exhort all Christian parents or guardians to present their children to the Lord in baptism, not dedication, in baptism at an early age. Book of Discipline, 2016, paragraph 226. It's been other numbers in the past, but it's been our consistent teaching as United Methodists for a very long time. Hope this has been helpful. Remember, you can always contact me, worship@umcdiscipleship.org, through our UMC Worship Facebook group, or drop a line on this page. And perhaps your question or comment will become the basis for a future episode of Q&A with Liturgy Man. And the peace of Christ be always with you.